Hi, I'm Lachelle,
And I'm Rosemary.
and we are Peonies and Pearls DIY.
We've been longtime friends, and we have discovered that we are a great twosome when it comes to having a great time crafting.
That's right. We love to get together and craft and make journals, especially.
And we like anything that's vintagey, cottagey, chic. She's more chic, and I'm more shabby because I have a little age on her. I am of a vintage age.
She's vintage. She's the. So are you the peony or the pearl?
Oh, I think I'm probably the pearl.
You're the pearl, I think.
Around the block a lot longer than peonies last.
One of the important parts of junk journaling is being able to make the spine and to put in your signatures.
Right. And I know that Lachelle has not made a hidden spine before.
No.
And I have learned to do it by many trials, watching a lot of YouTube videos on it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that the way I do it now is less time consuming and efficient and quicker than when I have just struggled over and over and over again to get it right. Because every time I would do it, I would forget some key component and I would mess it up and I would be dissatisfied with the way my final product looked. So hopefully, when we do this video today, I won't make all of those mistakes. I have a little cheat sheet. So if anybody is ever interested in having those directions, I can make them available to you.
All right.
So with that, let's get
after it.
That's my favorite thing to say. Great big template to just show you.
Ooh,
and
that's awesome.
That will make a really big one. I also have a small one that will actually fit inside here. And the reason I don't want to glue these down yet is that I want to put my spine on the inside of my paper. Then I'm going to take some end papers and I will be able to cover from here all the way over.
And so this spine piece you actually cut out and it becomes part of the journal. It becomes the spine.
It does. And you will be attaching your signatures on these lines.
That is so much easier than the way I try to do it.
And then all of your stitching will be found here and will be glued in so that on the outside you don't see any of your strings. And that's the beauty of a hidden spine.
Ooh, I love that.
So let's make a template. And the reason I like to make a template, not everybody does, and this one takes a little bit longer, but you could save this template and reuse it over and over to just cut out a template for each one of your junk journals that you make. So now let's take a piece of cardboard that you had left over, one of your cut off pieces. And all right, the measurements for 5 inches across and 6 inches down. I wonder if I'm going to go ahead and mark that. This is the 5-inch side and this is the 6-inch side. That just helps me keep it in the right position. All right, with the 5-inch side at the top, you're going to make a score at the 1-inch line and at the 4-inch line.
1 and 4.
Now turn your cardboard clockwise so that the 6-inch side is at the top, and score at the 1-inch line, and this time at the 5-inch line.
I think I did it wrong already. Okay, I gotcha.
And I'm going to go ahead and just put a pencil mark because I think maybe that will help our viewers see that I have, oops.
So you want a 1-inch border
basically
around this card.
All right. Looks like my eraser doesn't want to erase very well. All right. Now we're going to cut each corner at an angle about a 1/4 of an inch away, just like we did on our paper.
So through your lines.
Yes, so that you're cutting through this line and also this one the same way. And it doesn't have to be exact, but I just find that it's less bulky when you are putting it together. Oops. All right, now I have a piece that looks like this. Inside this template box, which is this part right here, you can see, I'm going to score at 1.5, at 2.5, oops, at 3.5, now that's on the 5-inch line. This is going to be where my signatures will be attached. Then I'm going to turn my cardstock clockwise, and this time I'm going to score at the 2-inch mark, at the 3-inch mark, and at the 4-inch mark.
Oh, that's where I did it before, so I just was ahead of myself.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not too bad.
No. Now you know exactly where you're going to poke your holes. I'm going to, because this is a 3 signature, I'm going to put an X here where these lines cross. 1. And I'm going to, because it's a 3x3 grid, or 3x4 grid, I'm only going to put an X on, because I'm going to do a 3-hole punch through there. So this is where signature 1 will go, signature 2 will go, and signature 3 will go. And those are kind of evenly spaced, top and bottom, as a result. Now I take a pokey tool and I'm going to poke a hole through the cardboard and not my finger.
That is a good tip.
At each of these crosses.
We're here for you guys.
We don't want to go to the hospital.
We give you the best tips.
Yep. Don't poke your fingers. I'm going to pass this to Lachelle in a minute because she doesn't seem to have a pokey tool handle handy.
I cleared things out of the way.
That's all right. So now, I don't know if you can see, those holes have been punched. And you can see that this is very flexible, but that's okay because once it is glued in, it is glued in. And at this point, we are ready to attach our signatures to each of these lines. And maybe we'll stop this video here long enough for us to gather some signature papers, because I didn't do that. Well, we're ready to do our signatures, and we have our papers. We've just taken some of our pieces, and because this is a 7x7 journal, we've taken 12 by 12 paper and cut it into 6 by
12.
6x6 pieces, or 6 by 12, and then when you fold it you have a 6x6 signature.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And we have arranged our papers in an order that we like. And the center one, we both seem to agree that we like a paper that is double-sided so that the center looks real nice. Then taking a piece of our cardstock that we had left over, I cut a 2 by 6 inch strip and folded it in half, scored it at the 1 inch line and folded it in half. And then I took my template for my signatures and I lined up the holes right down the center of the strip. So if I do that on the back like that, then I can take my pencil and mark where the holes are in my template, and then I have those holes showing where I should poke my holes for my signature. Now I'm going to take this strip, I'm going to lay it on the inside of my signature, and I'm ready then to take my pokey tool and poke holes into the signature. If you are nervous about doing that, you can put clips on both sides to keep it steady. And you don't want to poke yourself when you do this. So if you have an old phone book, you can use that.
Or a self-sealing mat.
Or a self-sealing mat. Oh, some people are so fancy.
You got your own phone book.
I have my old phone book, and I just poke a hole through the whole card and signature. And then I'm only doing 3. Keep your fingers out of the way and poke as deeply as you can. And then I like to pull my signature up on the pokey tool to make sure that my hole has gone cleanly through. There. Now you can see 3 distinct holes on this side, 3 distinct holes on this side. And now you are ready to take your template that you made. And I like to start with the center signature, and my holes should line up perfectly with the holes on the template. Now we are ready to sew our signature to this template for the spine. And so we can use thread. Some people I have seen use ribbons. I've not tried a ribbon before, but
I've got it. You know, if you have some kind of flax that has like the waxy,
yes, the waxy cover, or you can just use baker's twine. Also, cording works, and you might need to make your holes bigger depending on the size thread you use. I normally use a kind of baker's twine just because I have a glut of that. And I have lots of different colors, and you could choose whatever color you want. And basically, you measure about 2.5 lengths. Sometimes I do a little bit more, maybe 3, but you cut your um, your twine or your wax thread, and then using a darning needle, something that has uh, a bigger diameter
Eye.
eye.
I'm like, that's
That's the
what
word
I was
not
thinking.
coming
It
for
needs a
me.
large eye.
Needs a large eye because I'm vintage and I don't see as well.
Well, if it doesn't have a big eye, then you can't thread these big threads through a small needle.
No, you can't.
Either, so.
You can't. So now we are ready to attach all of it together. And you start with the center hole and pull that partially through, keeping yourself a nice tail. And you're also going to go through your template. And don't worry about pulling everything tight yet.
So center hole on the signature, center hole on your card.
Yes, exactly. And when you're doing it on camera, it's a lot harder.
Right.
Now make sure you have this lined up, top to bottom. And now you're going to come up through your top hole on the back of your template. And you want to go back down through the top hole of your signature. And then you're going to, from the inside, go all the way across to your third hole. You'll notice that I managed to get that to go through quite easily once I got this much onto the card. Now you're going to make sure everything is tight on both sides. Oops. I'm off a little bit, so I'm going to straighten this out. Go down through the center one. And this time I want to come up on the opposite side of the thread so that I have a way to tie a knot and cross over that center thing.
That's great.
And so now I can take my needle off. I'm going to do a good tug.
So you don't do several times through, you just...
I don't.
As far as you go with it. Okay.
Yeah, that's as far as I go. And then I do a second knot. Some people like to put pretty little dangly things on it, on this string, and let it hang out of your journal. You could do that. Or you can cut it real close to the knot, put a little dab of glue on it if you're worried about it. Or you can just tie a bow if you have finger dexterity. Which the older I get, the more vintage I become.
Well, I can tell you, this is going to be so much easier than the way I've been doing it.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted. And you keep asking me, how do you do that? And I thought, well, why not just show everybody what I do? Now, you have your first signature in. You have plenty of room to repeat the process for the other two. Once we do that off camera, we'll come back and show you how to then attach this to your journal. We have put our other two signatures in. You'll notice that you have an inch in between your signatures, and that's good because you will be filling your papers up, and that gives you plenty of room to have lots and lots of bulky things that you put. So let's go ahead and get our hidden spine put in.
And could I just say, while we're at this part, that as we were sewing in the signatures, I felt like that was the easiest time I'd ever had of sewing in the signatures. Um, I usually, it makes it hard. Um, I'll I'll put a dot, where I want to poke the hole, but it just seems like everything doesn't line up as easy. I think it's partly because I try to do it with an already made,
Journal.
yes, journal with the pieces, like it's already thick, the signature. So here the signatures were empty. The journal cover wasn't completely finished, and we weren't putting it on the journal cover. We were just doing it on a card. So I think trying to make all of those little pieces kind of fit together and hold it and
Poke
poke the right
holes
holes in the right place and
and
make everything. Anyway, I was like, wow, this was really, really um
an
simple,
improvement.
and you can see where it lined up just perfectly on that. And we have our three signatures. So, anyway, I thought this was genius. So, I will definitely be doing this again.
Well, now it's the simple part. We're just going to take our glue, and I'm going to put glue at the top and the bottom, and I've already folded my paper so that I can just lay this down flat. Hopefully.
I think my card will fit a little bit under these flaps. I
Yes.
think I'm going to leave that unglued until
And if
I get
if it will
that.
fit, that's great. I didn't have as much room as Lachelle did on hers. I also, once I get this glued, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to run it along the creases here where my um, cover will open and close. And I just want to gently crease that just a little bit so that it won't tear. And you might want to wait until this is really dry before you actually fold it up like this, because if your paper is real thin, it will tear. Once you have that, you can line up your template that you are using for your spine with the creases where your cover opens and closes. Just line that up, and you're going to put glue all over the back and including on the strings. That will make them sturdier as well.
Okay, I'm going to use my art glitter glue.
And that's great.
Will that work?
Yes.
I
That's
mean,
probably better than what I'm using.
it sticks pretty good.
It sticks pretty well. But you'll want to have this equal distance from the top and the bottom and lined up with your creases so that you can open and close this easily. And make sure you have the sides sticking well, but then take your bone folder and your fingers and really give that a good burnish down the between the signatures so that that gets adhered really, really well. I think I've about gotten mine down pretty well. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue my sides as well, and any places that I didn't glue well before. If you see anything sticking up, you'll want to go back and make sure it's adhered well. And just give that a good burnish with your bone folder. Wipe away any excess glue if you happen to have any. How's it going, Lachelle? You getting it?
Yeah, just trying to get it tucked under this paper a little bit. I think we're doing okay.
Now this would do a lot better if you had thicker cardboard. But this is a great way to learn, is to use something that's a little more flexible
Yeah,
and not your very best designer papers.
right. We're just kind of
And you
we're
can
just playing.
and you can see that with the signatures in, it holds up pretty well. But you'll want to make sure that it is um, dry before you stand it up like I did, because you can see I made a mess over here with my glue as a
Oh darn.
result. But I will be covering that with paper shortly. Now, once you have done that, this is kind of ugly. So we're taking 1 inch ribbon and laying that in between, leaving it top and bottom so that you can trim that off nicely. Or if you like that look, you can leave the ribbon hanging out as a marker to where your different signatures are. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my ribbon from top to bottom in between my signatures.
And once you fill that with all your
other goodies, you're not going to
goodies,
really
yeah, there won't
see
be
it.
hardly anything here, but it'll be perfect
It'll be
covering it.
just a nice covering so that it's not just exposed to wear and tear. It will,
Yeah, that
will
looks
keep it.
finished.
It looks finished that way. And then all we have left to do is to put our end papers on this side and on this side. Make sure that's dry because you don't have excess glue, otherwise you'll mess up your pretty paper like I'm doing. I seem to always be able to mess something up because I'm hurrying too much. Just take your time. It will all dry and it will be quite nice. I think you'll enjoy how this turns out.
Yeah.
Now we just need to figure out what our end papers are going to be here and here. I like to use coffee dyed paper. And then, of course, you can put anything else you want. If you wanted to do a flap, a fold out, you could take another piece of cardboard and have it open out farther over and fold it in if you wanted to do some fancier things. But if you're a beginner and just getting started, keep it simple. You'll be happy with it. You'll gain experience with it, and then you'll be able to go farther. So we're going to cut some paper to fit this, and I'm just going to leave a little bit of a border. I should measure this and tell you how big to cut this paper, because I want to cover from the signature. It looks like it's 7.5, and of course from top to bottom it'll be 7. So cut 2 pieces 7.5 by 7. Thanks. So 7.5 by 7. Seven and a half by 7. Now we'll just cut that out and we'll be ready to line this up. And if you wanted to, you could tear your paper, make it look a little more ragged so that it has a more vintage feel to it. Doesn't have to be straight. If that makes any sense, Michelle.
Yes, it does. And I think I'm going to make mine 6.5 by 7 so that I can still see the miters coming in.
Miter.
I'll show that here in a minute when we show
Sure.
what I
So we'll have
did.
them two ways. Where I'm covering most of mine. I didn't cut that very straight. What else is new?
I can see that I glued down my signatures like a little high or a little low, I mean. So, oh well.
Oh well.
That will
it's
be,
a junk
I'm
journal.
learning.
It's a junk journal and they're not going to be perfect.
I think,
and we don't care about perfection.
I would pay different attention to that next time, I think.
Yes.
Knowing that's what trying something new is all about.
That's exactly right.
That's why we try with something we're not super, worried about or attached to.
That's right.
It's good to do a little, it's our little mock-up here. Try it out, at least for me. We've done this a few times.
I've done it a few times, but you can still see I'm inept.
No.
I still make mistakes, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You are so much faster than I am. I do not know why I am so slow. I do not like the way I am trimming this. So I'll just keep trimming it until I get it to fit. Because obviously I'm off my noodle again. Well, not perfect, but what can I say? I'll leave perfect to the pretty people. I'm just an old country girl at heart.
You're an old Southern girl.
I'm a Southern girl. I was born and raised in Alabama. And Lachelle wishes she had been.
I know. I want to be a Southern belle. A Southern belle at heart. Not for real.
That's what grits are. Girl raised in the South.
Oh,
grits.
There you
go. So I'm a grit.
True grit. Right.
All of you glorious people, it's not dry. It will tear if you don't leave it shut for a little while. I used really wet glue. I cannot speak. Really wet glue. And so I have to let that dry. Lachelle used her pretty glue, her good glue.
Yeah, I used the pretty glue.
And so maybe she wants to show her finished product.
Yeah. Okay, so here's how mine ended up. We got
wonderful
spine outside, front. Like I said, this is where I was saying it's a little low. I could have moved that up a little bit, but I don't think it really matters in the end. And then if I have any tags or anything that stick up a bit, then that'll be okay.
It'll be great.
The ribbon and yeah, my little signatures. I felt like I said, that turned out well. This
This paper is really thin.
With it being so thin, yeah, I think that
But
if you
you-
used a cardstock or even some fabric, but then the fun thing is
you can always cover up all the
you can go in
imperfections
and add, something, I like the shabby stuff, so you can, you could add some doily or make it a pocket or something. So there's, even though it doesn't look perfect,
it doesn't have to.
it doesn't have to. So anyway, so that's my little book, and let's see, let's put yours up there, and that's what we did.
That's what we did. With us. Come back again. We'll have something else for you soon.
Anyway, hope you had fun.
We did. You owe me a Coke.